Hello!
Hello and welcome to the Heroes and Generals Devstream number 49. Today it's me, Red Bjarne, and to Deshi. I need to pronounce it correctly. Gargamel is on vacation somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's going to some obscure music concert in Germany.
So that's not a vacation, it's education for him.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. But welcome. Today we are going to present and talk about a new map that we are going to introduce into the Young build. The new map comes also with a new game mode, and that is probably what we are going to discuss for the entire session. We might take some QA at the end if time permits, sure. I think, in the Twitch chat. But other than that, we're going to run through the map and the ideas and the rules behind it on our test servers, and later we will open up a public test server for people to join. Yes. And try out the new map. It has been open in a few attempts in the last week. First attempt was super terrible. Yeah. Everything, nothing worked at all. I think the main problem was that nobody could access the server, and then when people finally got into the server, they hit the content wasn't distributed, so everything was loaded directly downloaded directly from the server. We actually staged a DDoS attack on our own server. Yeah, pretty much. It's
probably not a good idea to run a test during downtime on live. Yeah. Because we redirected all our customers and we had like thousands of hits on one forum.
Our calculation said that about 150 players would probably show up for the game test, and then so
thousands.
It wasn't really a good calculation, I guess.
But then we did another one. Yeah. Today.
Yeah, today we did a new one, which was a lot more successful.
Much more successful. So now we feel confident that we can show this on Twitch. Yeah. And that it's not going to be delayed, and it is coming out with Young, right?
Yes, it is. Unless some atomic bomb drops tomorrow or something. No. Right. The new map actually started with a new game mode. And we have a desire to make the entrance to the game a bit more simple for new players, and even our skirmish game mode is fairly complex for if you're not used to playing these kind of games. You have to learn a lot in order to actually just play your first match, and while you learn, you're used to getting killed by other players. Obviously, that problem is much worse when you go from the skirmish to the assault, but we're gonna address that later. We thought it would be better to have an even simpler game mode in the beginning of the player's experience in the game, and that is why we came up with the encounter. We call it encounter game mode. Yes, which is you could say it's not just team deathmatch, but it's simpler than the skirmish.
Because we wanted to, when we were designing it, we did talk about making it just a team deathmatch. Yeah. But the idea was that our game is not necessarily, Heroes and Generals is not necessarily about getting the biggest kill-death ratio. Yeah. It's about capturing
and a bit more tactical play. So we ended up deciding that the capture mechanics should be part of the first game map. At least for now. Yeah. Another thing that we wanted to make sure was that it's a limited array of a limited amount of different players or soldier types that can play the map. So it's an infantry only map. Yeah. Infantry only game mode, which make it very interesting actually. Obviously, when we think this now needs to get released, and we need to probably tweak it, and we need to figure out if it's okay before we move on to the next thing, which could be tank only game modes and other more specialized game modes, which players have been asking for a long time. So I think this was the first sensible step for us to take on the next game mode road.
And people have been asking for that for a long time. This is like 3 years ago. I was one of the first things I read on the forum was, can we play infantry only game modes?
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you're playing an assault mission, for example, if you play the town map and the gameplay progresses to the church and the police station, there's really nice infantry gameplay there, and people wanted to be, I think, exposed to more of that type of gameplay.
Yeah. And tanks is very vulnerable in the
in the city center.
In the city, actually, in a minute, Martin, Deshi, sorry, Martin, is
leaking all my names.
Is gonna run through his level design and explain what he's been doing on the map and why, and just run you through the whole map. And I think actually 2 maps were made in the beginning. But the thing with this is we pulled the other map because it was I think we have had some experience with it, that it's gonna be in the game later. It was just a very very high intensity map because these maps are obviously smaller than the ones you're used to, which produces a lot of contact between the two forces. And if it gets too small, it's a kill fest.
That's also why we want to invite you to test later. We're opening the test server because we need to. This is a completely new game mode, and some issues have arisen with designing for that game mode, and it needs to be tested, especially because we're releasing it on the new players. So it's we feel it's getting there where it's okay for us to release, with the obviously the thought that we are gonna tweak it moving forward, as we always do.
So maybe Martin. Oh, sorry, Deshi. Sorry, I need to have
my
game
nickname
tag big in front of me, so I don't. If you could fire up the map and tell us about your.
Actually, we can just look at my desktop. We can see an overview. Sure. With the basic idea of having one capture point and infantry only, and we didn't have that much time to design new assets and stuff. So the idea behind this map is to have a train depot which has been fortified, and you can see from the picture here, you have the train depot in the middle, and you have the spawns pretty close to it, and around it you have a network of trenches.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go inside the game and talk more in depth. So you can see here in the spawn menu, you have only one capture point, and when you spawn here, the distance has been brought down a lot. This is because with infantry only, we don't need too much distance. If you have tanks inside the level, you need to have much bigger distances because tanks fight on bigger distances. But a major difference in this map is that the distance is more optimized for infantry combat.
One thing, if you have questions while we present this stuff, just write them in the chat, but you should either write them to me or to Robotron, or Heroes and Generals, I think his name is in here somewhere, so we can pull them out and we'll answer them as we go along if they are relevant to to the stuff we're currently talking about. And I can see there's already a lot of questions that I'm going to answer when Deshi is done.
They're never going to guess it now.
It's a Danish name and nobody knows it.
Yeah, it's the most popular name in the world.
God damn it. Sorry.
Right away, if you spawn, you'll notice the new spawn protection is also on this map. In fact, the reason why we started designing the spawn protection was to include it because we needed it for the encounter game mode. Yeah, so it's really nice for the skirmish, but But when you spawn people this close to the action, you need to...
You need the spawn protection. So actually the spawn protection have been something that's been discussion about for quite a while. I know there's on the forums have been some good suggestions on how to prevent the spawn killing anyway. So I think this actually triggered us into we need to do this spawn protection now, because the new game mode is definitely going to be
acquiring it.
Yeah, fail if you don't have this spawn protection. Also, it's a good thing for new players. They spawn and they can actually just stand still until they decide what to do. So there's no pressure into like you have to start doing something and take cover, otherwise you're gonna get shot.
All right, so I'll just slowly give you an overview of the map. As I said before, it is a fortified compound, and the reason that I chose this kind of layout is because since there is one point in the middle, and the point is as a center point for all of the action, you want like a 360-degree area around the zone to be interesting, because the gameplay in this game mode is going to be like, how do you approach the point? So making the whole area around it interesting was definitely like the first concern. Is at any direction you approach the point should be interesting. And like the first idea that I had was to... Oh, it's Blixen.
Kill him.
Blixen running around. No, the first idea is that I had was to think about the encounter maps as a sort of onion. So with the capture point in the middle, and then like layers, like an onion or a layer cake, like layers of cover around it. So the trench that you see here is if you think about the forest edge as the first layer, and then you have the trench, and then the second line of trench, and then the wall into the capture zone. That is the layers that you kind of have to progress through. And by making these layers, it's basically you spawn and you move from layer to layer until you make it into the capture zone. And that's pretty interesting. And to do this, we had to build the trenches, which is something that people have been asking for for a long time, that we actually couldn't do, technically.
Sorry, I was just checking out, you say that
the trenches is something that people have been asking for a long time.
Yeah.
And we had some limitations, but you and I sat down and
fixed it.
Found a technical solution for it.
Yeah, it's the trouble with the building the trenches is that you can make them once, but you have to sort of like place them all by hand, and if you make just the slightest change to the terrain, they will be out of alignment, and then you have to sort of like correct them everything by hand, which would obviously lock down the game design or the level design way too early in the process, which is not feasible at all. But the stuff we have in now it's a dynamic trench system where the trenches will actually follow the terrain. If Deshi wants a bump in the terrain in the middle of where the trenches are, they will simply just conform to that bump.
It's much more easy to design with, and this is some people will probably want a more trench focused map.
Yeah.
And the reason why this is here is just the first version of the trenches that we've made.
Yeah.
And because we didn't know how they would work, would they work well or will they work bad? They kind of work in a secondary capacity in this map. But the fact that we've made this technology now makes it so that we can think about
real trench style maps, for example.
Making a trench centric map, or even introducing trenches on maps that we already have in places to help us with the level design.
Definitely.
I definitely have some ideas for that. But,
hopefully now we haven't really had time to correct that stuff, but the changes made to the trench system also applies to the railroad tracks and stuff. So those in the coming builds should be a lot nicer.
All right. So So let's go through the level.
Actually, there's one. I'm gonna take some questions from some of the guys here.
Yeah, sure.
There's one from that guy in the Tacos who's saying that he's been playing that test server, and I found out that players can only play on that single map until level 3. Are you going to decrease the level until skirmish is available, because playing on one map is a bit boring for new players? One thing is that this new game mode, will be the only game mode and only map available for players until they reach what we now call Tier 1. I think we go for Tier 0, 1 and 2, where currently we only have Tier 1 and 2. So we actually introduce a Tier 0 for new players. We just moved for you who have already played the game on the test server, that change is not on the test server yet, but we have moved the point for switching to Tier 1, to play other maps than this, from rank 3 to rank 2. So it should be, from our calculations, around 6 times an average player should be playing this map before he gets access to the other maps.
To skirmish
maps.
Yeah.
So it's we have moved it down.
Yes, and it will be available afterwards for the regular players who are Tier 1 and 2. Yeah. They can still play the encounter map.
Yeah, you can either play it in staged via the matchmaker or in the war.
How is it triggered in war?
There's several questions for that actually, and I don't think I'm going to mention all the names, because I think there's 4 or 5 who's asking that question on how does the map get triggered in the war. We don't have any. Actually, we have the special case as if assault teams, infantry-based assault teams, clash on a supply line, the encounter map is triggered. And we ran some tests to see how often that actually happens, and it happens something about along the lines of 25% of the skirmish maps that are now triggered are for infantry only. So we thought that there would be a nice balance of just switching that instance to being the new encounter map. We have been playing a little bit around with the thought of having these skirmish type encounter maps running more in parallel, so we can start up. We can sort of like define a conflict zone in the middle of a battlefield and just have multiple games running in parallel with the resources available there, because often a lot of resources actually clash on the supply lines. But the server's not really ready to do that yet. But that could be a solution for having multiple. If you want to have a encounter with infantry versus, and then on the same supply line having a tank-only battle, for example.
Yeah.
That is something that we are at least thinking about. Could be a cool idea.
There's someone joining our game. All right, but back to the map. So what I was saying about the layers is that, as you can see, if you're moving from the spawn, you only have a small open space here before you get to the first trench. And from here, you have the option to shoot at the next level, the next layer. And the distance between the trenches is actually optimized for rifle gameplay.
Yeah.
And that is because it's infantry only. We want to have ranges that are for infantry.
Yeah.
So as I said before, tanks need a bigger range, and so if you're playing an assault map, you'll see that there's a broad scope of ranges from very small inside the capture zones to huge open ranges.
Yeah.
And in this map, the open ranges are only up to rifle range, because it's only an infantry map. So going from trench to trench, you will advance up to the capture zone. And when you're approaching the capture zone, it's very important also, like I said before, to have multiple points of entry, because that's what makes it interesting for you. If there's only one door, it would be super boring, because you'd always run through the same door, like over and over and over again.
Probably also be real dangerous.
Yes, someone would just sit there and camp that.
It is. I think one of the things we have been battling a little bit with is the because it's a simple map and everything is centered around one capture zone. Then it tends to get very hectic and very intense.
Yeah.
And so it's a balance. This map, when it first appeared, was a lot simpler inside, at least.
Yeah.
Which also made it a very dangerous area. The other map that you've been working on have an even smaller capture zone, which makes it a
even more intense,
super death trap. And it actually requires the players to be a lot more advanced, because they need to be able to actually defend the area around the capture zone and not inside the capture zone. Otherwise, it'll just be a complete grenade kill fest.
Right, but if we take like the direct route, going through these doors, you'll see inside here we have some crates, and the crates are kind of aligned so that there's cover for both sides. So if my enemy is coming from where I'm looking now, and I'm coming from here, there's kind of points of cover, again in kind of optimum rifle range, that you can sit in your end of the depot hall and shoot at the people coming from the other end. So
the scopes won't really give you any advantage on this map?
A little bit. There is a little bit range if you're outside. Yeah. You can sit out in the trenches and kind of pick people off as they're moving towards the building. But it is kind of designed for normal rifle combat.
And close quarters, like in submachine guns and pistols. What about that?
Yeah, that'll also. They're like these kind of ranges here. Yeah. That's obviously better for a submachine gun or something like that. Yeah. But if you think about rifles as kind of the median or the like the middle range, and then you have some areas that are a little bit more range and a little bit shorter range. That is how I thought about the ranges.
That's cool.
Splixen. All right. Initially, we had some problems with grenade spamming. People were throwing a lot of grenades in here. So if you go into this area,
you can think about it. This map is going to be played by 18 versus 18 infantrymen, fresh out of of basic training with 4 grenades each. The first tests were pretty crazy,
pretty grenade crazy, yeah. And it's still a lot of grenades, and it's still a lot of firing.
But I think you took great precautions on that.
So there are zones in here which have great cover from grenades, especially this zone here. There's one in each end of the depot hall, and in here you're kind of safe from grenades. Yeah. So basically, when you're on your own side of the depot hall, you're kind of safe from the grenade spamming, but you have to shoot across. Yeah. And when you decide to cross the open floor in the middle, you're open season for the grenade hunting. Mm. So that creates kind of a very simple, but from playtesting, really awesome dynamic of
and you have some good defensive positions inside the hall, so it actually is quite safe to defend as well. So it's once it's captured by one side, it takes some time to actually recapture it, and it's not enough to just fill it up with the grenades. That's nice.
So that is kind of the one route into the depot, is to go low and then go into your own kind of safe area and try to shoot from there. Another way is when you're coming here to go to this top floor. Mm-hmm. So that's a different option for you, is to go up here. And the good thing about this, or the advantage of this, is definitely that you can see much more of the hall. Yeah. And you can kind of cover and you can lay down more fire.
And also see that it's not as complicated as in some of the other factory maps. So it's more like when you enter, it's easy to see where.
Where the positions are and where you'd expect people to be. That is because we want this to be for new players. Yeah. But so the advantage is definitely, you can see, I can cover more of the capture zone, but I'm also super exposed. It goes both ways. So standing up here, high reward, but very dangerous for you as well, because you don't have much cover. Everyone can see you. Yeah. So that's definitely high risk, high reward proposition to go up here. So if you're a good player, you might want to do that. Hello. That's Blixen.
There's Herr Nerland who's asking, why did you make a smaller map, community request or planned feature? Well, as I said in the beginning, it's we have the you could say problem that Heroes and Generals is perceived as a fairly difficult and hard game to play, and obviously we want to expand the audience of this game. Makes perfect sense. So the idea was to create something that was actually smaller and simpler for new players to play. That's why we decided on creating this map in opposition to something more complex, for example. Yeah. And I think the next few new game modes will be introducing would probably somewhere along the same lines as something that's simple, isolated for soldier classes, for example, like tank only maps, only dogfights for planes, and something that caters only, for example, to recons. And try and see if we can service the individual classes a bit more than just the huge assault maps and skirmish maps. So you would probably see some more simple game modes and simple maps like this rather than huge complex maps.
Yes. So if we keep going and kind of explaining different routes in, you could also go a flank and go through this loading kind of door where you load supplies from the trains. The advantage here is obviously that you get kind of a head start in crossing the factory hall. Yeah. That you can kind of come in from the side and surprise enemies, especially if you're coming from the other spawn. You can kind of go through here and shoot into their kind of safe area.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage there, but in order to get to that, you kind of have to move through this open area.
Oh, who's that?
Well, but as you can see, this area is much more open, mm-hmm. and you kind of have both spawns can see this area directly from their spawns.
There he goes.
Where is he?
So here. He hit.
So it's
there.
So it's obviously dangerous to go this route.
Well, it's kind of like a no man's land until the building.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you get an advantage from getting there sometimes, but you're also super exposed going there. Yeah. So that's the idea of one flank. And then there is another flank. If you go around this way, you can actually capture the building from this side door, and this is kind of a little room that is kind of an attachment to the main building. Yeah. And what this does is for the gameplay is that you can use this to kind of harass, to capture without having to go into the main. Yeah. So if there's a lot of people really hunkered down inside the main,
you can annoy them by going in there and sort of like they have to come out and try and
exactly
kill you. Yeah.
So yeah, that is basically, in very simple terms, that is the approaches that you have, the flanking, the interesting options that you have to attack this capture zone. And when this is all put together and you have 18 infantry versus 18 infantry colliding, running all these routes at the same time, it becomes like a...
I just need to I think there's a lot of players actually asking in the chat for... There's Rob Gallen is one of them. There's a few more. They're arguing that the paratroopers and the recon should have access to these maps as well. I can see that grounded paratroopers might
make sense if they were
grounded. Might make sense. Recons, maybe. I don't know. Is this map suitable for recons?
It is in that it is. An infantryman can have a scoped rifle, so of course it is designed for. But I think that, like you talked about, there was maybe an idea for making a recon only.
We would definitely look into making a recon only type maps. But as I said before, it is definitely possible for us to actually trigger this map with several other combinations in the war if we wishes to do that. For now in the stage missions here in the beginning, it's only for infantry because that's where what new players have. But I could definitely imagine that we'd like to try out and see if what happens if infantry, if several infantry clashes with recons. I would imagine the map would be. Obviously, it wouldn't be started if you only had like a small amount of recon and a huge amount of infantry, but a mix of infantry and recon on both sides could be interesting to try out. But it'll definitely be something that will keep it to the war because it just bumps up the complexity of the map.
The way that this map is designed is obviously to the way with just one capture point and very short running time. Yeah. It is designed also to teach new people how to capture a thing.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to make the most of the gameplay in this map is running into the capture point, fighting inside the capture point, capturing the capture point.
Yeah.
And maybe this is not what the recon class is generally doing. So
obviously, I'd like them to be doing more
capturing,
more capturing than there currently is. They're good at the flanking and all that stuff. So yes. In the first iteration, it has been our focus to create something for the infantry only, but it's true that we should look into at least testing out how the map works with the paradrops and stuff and recon and see if it actually works. In the war, we don't have any way to actually trigger the map with paratroopers in the air because they don't trigger any skirmish maps anyway because they don't collide with anything on any supply lines. They fly directly to their destination zone. So if we want to trigger these in war missions, it will just be grounded paratroopers against infantry or other grounded paratroopers, which I guess wouldn't make that much of a difference anyway. But it would be interesting to see if it actually worked with the paradrops as well.
Actually, I believe that Reto Stenum has just wrote me that the prototype server is up and running.
Okay.
So that you guys can go and play this map right now, I think.
That's cool. Can you tell people how to access the prototype, or is it going to be sent out in the
chat? Maybe Robotron or you. It's prototype.heroesandgenerals.com.
Just a second.
If you have Chrome, you need to install a plugin. It's kind of annoying, but otherwise use so mean. Otherwise use Firefox to access prototype.heroesandgenerals.com, and you can go and play this map right now.
Prototype.heroesandgenerals.com.
Sweet.
Can you bring us there? See if anybody joins it.
Yes, I can.
We have a Splixen trying to tell us something. He apparently lost his ability to speak.
No, I know what he wants.
Okay.
He wanted me to show something. Yeah.
10 minutes. Oh, god damn it. I was hoping I could answer a million questions. Maybe I'm just going to join some of the Twitchers' Twitch channels and then answer some of your lovely questions. Also, I need to tell you that the Battle Vision contest is running until the 17th. It's hosted by Silverlick and Gringo JS, which we are very happy for that they do. And also I've been told to just announce again that we are sorry that we have to remove the leaderboards for a while, simply because of a change in the backend servers. They're running on an entirely new the statistics servers are running on an entirely new system, which is not possible for us to actually just migrate the old stuff onto the new. Obviously, the stats will still be recorded, but they'll be recorded in a new format, and we're working on an entirely new leaderboard for that.
I think what Splixen was trying to tell me is that Robotron wanted me to There has been rumors of this kitten cart.
It has been announced, so.
But I don't think people have seen it drive in game, have they?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe they've had.
This is such a great thing.
So awesome.
Flip that.
Yeah, you can't flip it. It's really hard to flip it. It is.
Oh,
I couldn't even flip it by going into the trench. I can't get out. Yeah, I spawned another. It is much harder to flip than the sidecar one.
Oh yeah. Actually, this is just a rumor I heard somewhere that the setup of the dreaded sidecar motorcycle and the Copenhagen is being looked at actually. So,
maybe it'll flip even less.
Maybe they will succeed in fixing it. I hope so.
See, that would have flipped. That would have totally flipped that other one.
That's nice.
But
it's very fun to drive this one.
When
obviously,
we were doing
there's room for 5 people on it, right? 5 soldiers can be transported.
I think so.
4.
4.
And it also carries supply crates, which makes it an interesting choice. It will be
has, vehicle variation on the paint, right?
It comes with a few different paint schemes as well. Yeah,
it's really awesome.
It's available for infantry and recon. So, and it's only for the Germans. Sorry, guys. The Americans will probably have their, is it called the M6 tractor at some point when we decide to do it, but and then we'll need to take a look at what the Soviet had of these funny small things.
When we were doing test playthroughs of the encounter maps, we all the testers spawned some of these, and we all did races. It's pretty funny. Anyway, I think we're supposed to cut it a little bit short because people will probably want to go to the prototype server and test this out for themselves.
Oh, actually, I have to. One thing is, some people are trying to ask me about the. This is my late big 220 about the BA6. No, but I think generally we have made a whole bunch of images for the different, you could say, vehicles or whatever that we just at some point want to introduce into the game. And in the test server, somehow some of those IDs got mixed up, and some random vehicles were shown, and that's the answer for the supposed BA6. If everybody noticed it was instead of, it was on the EC8 ribbon, which was kind of weird. So obviously our long-term goal is obviously to create the entire war. Everything should be in the game. It just takes some time to do.
No. And that is the reason why.
5 minutter. Kun 5 minutter tilbage.
Yeah. Is there anything we have to do on the exit that we have to say here at the end of the show?
Not really, other than you guys should go onto Twitch and check out the Twitchers that are playing our game. Some of us will be available in some of the chats sometimes, and if you spot us there, at least me, feel free to ask any questions. I'll see if I can answer your questions to the best of my abilities. I can see there's a lot of questions in the chat. Obviously, I haven't got time to answer all of them because we're gonna stop right now.
Yeah.
But hopefully, you can go onto the test server. What was it again? It was the
prototype.
The prototype.
It's running in the top.
Yeah, the prototype server, and go and check out the new map. It will be available in the young update, which is hopefully hitting the servers soon.
Trademark. Soon, trademark. It'll hit the servers. When Splixon approves that all the bugs have been fixed.
Let's see what there's at 20 minutes. There's a lot of questions about hardware, and I can't really answer those. Sorry. Let's see. There's also a lot of questions about the PPS 43. Yeah. We're not going to answer any of that yet. So
I suppose that's it.
I think that's it for today, and we'll be back hopefully next week. I think maybe. I think it's.
You're on vacation.
I think I'm on vacation.
You're on your only vacation in the history of ever.
Oh no. Last time I was on vacation, I had the misfortune of starting reading stuff on the forums.
He never really goes on vacation. He just goes on vacation.
So expect me to be very, very active on the forums next week. Yes. Thank you for watching, and obviously thank you for playing our game. And we'll see you next time.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye bye.